Durbania, I'm Durbin, and I'm gonna read way too much into Resident Evil Retribution. It's an okay movie. If you want to check out my reading way too much into the first Resident Evil, you can click the link and check that out. You can also check out my review for Resident Evil, the final chapter. So reading way too much into Resident Evil Retribution, it's kind of a fascinating thing to read into because there's some interesting things going on here. First off, we get this great big reveal that the Umbrella Corporation built like an underground Moscow, an underground New York City, an underground Tokyo. Like they took and built certain city blocks just to recreate this entire area so that they could test the T-virus. They could see what this outbreak is going to look like and what's going to happen. They tried to perfect human cloning so that they had all these subjects to test it on. And then here's what they would do. They would test it and then they would show it to other countries and be like, hey, look at how this thing works. Now just imagine if you owned the T-virus and then you could drop it on your enemy's doorstep. This is the kind of reaction to the thing that you could see happen. See the power that this is going to give you? It reminds me very, very much so of the lie of the serpent in the Garden of Eden when he came to Adam and Eve and he goes, oh come on, if you eat this fruit, you're not gonna die. No, you will be like God. That promise of that power and that control. And so what did they do? They ate the fruit and death came. Not the death that we thought where their bodies are gonna drop dead, but a death in the soul, kind of like the zombie apocalypse, where the body, yeah, it's animated, but is it really alive? The soul, the person that used to be in there is now dead, but the body is running around living off its most basic instincts, looking just to eat and kill and destroy and all that crazy stuff. It was a different kind of death. And so that's what that reminds me of, because it was that same promise from the Umbrella Corporation. You buy this virus from us, you will be like God. You buy this virus from us, you will have control over your enemies. But what happens, we learn in the first movie, the virus breaks out and we have a zombie apocalypse. It's uncontrollable. It's not something that can just be yours to have. And I think that's the promise of evil in life, isn't it? You know, things that come to us and promise us sweet things, that promise us a nice high, that promise us something good. But then suddenly it becomes an addiction, and now it's the thing that runs us and the thing that controls us. Kind of like as you watch all these Resident Evil movies, that T-virus is running things. That T-virus is rampant and out of control. And never once did human beings have that ability to control it and contain it. And as you watch this movie, the Umbrella Corporation, they're not looking for a cure. They're continuing their testing just to find ways to try to control it. So the lie is being believed and perpetrated that they can control this thing. And you know, at the very least, it's the stupid Red Queen. She's an artificial intelligence, so she didn't have to worry about that. She's the one that wants to destroy all life on Earth, and it turns out that's the real end game, to wipe out life. And I think that's the purpose of evil, to wipe out life, to come to us with a sweet promise of something nice, and then it takes over. Once we open that door, it kicks it down, it comes in, and it takes over. And I'm so happy that in real life, when Adam and Eve ate off that tree and brought that kind of death into this world, that in real life, Jesus came and he died for us, came back to life to bring that light into the world. You can't fight darkness with darkness. The only way to fight darkness is to flip on a light switch, and the moment a light turns on, the darkness is gone. There is no fight over that. And so that's just something that always stands out in my mind, that in real life, while we might be battling things that just break into us and then try to rule us, there is that cure to that. And when we open the door to let Jesus in, it might be a process, but he doesn't leave us, and he will finish the work that he started in us and bring us into complete freedom and away from that, and bring light into those dark corners of our heart. If you watched Resident Evil Retribution, what are your thoughts on this movie? What did you read into it? Make sure to let me know in the comments. While you're there, hit that subscribe button. Next to the subscribe button is that notification bell. Click that and you'll get notified the moment I drop a new video, such as Sean Chandler of Sean Chandler Talks About joining me in retro reviews. Yeah, bringing that back to retro review The Hobbit trilogy. And Cody Leach, another great YouTube channel, he and I are going to be doing a whole state of the DCEU conversation, talking about DC Comics, the DC movies, and where we currently stand with those things. And that's going to be a very interesting conversation. And the whole Middle Earth talk, that's coming because there's a Durbin experience that's coming up that has to do with The Hobbit, that has to do with Middle Earth and all of that. Should I say more? Yeah, I think you should just hit the subscribe button and be prepared for when that video drops. I'm Durbin. Thank you for checking out Durbania.